From the cutting edge of anomaly research, you are about to experience The Evidence with your host, 3D pioneer and image analyst with Mars X3D, E.W. Gannett.
Hello, and welcome to episode 118 of The Evidence. This is your buddy Dave over at Mars X3D. And I always like to remind you, if you're new to the channel, you need to learn X3D viewing. Everything you need to know is linked below. All the links to the images, the links to the tutorial on how to view X3D, links to contact me, links to get your own autographed copy of Martian archaeology, always a handy thing to have on hand. And everything in the whole world is down below, except for the part that isn't, which is up above. Anyway, hey, I've got another announcement. Our very next proud weirdo, first class, Barbara Cloyce. Hooray! Thanks for coming on board with us, Barbara. And every little bit helps. If I can get enough people willing to make a tiny, tiny sacrifice each month, then I don't have to run ads. And I can keep this channel on the air. So thank you for helping me to do that. And of course, we can't forget our first and foremost primary member, Kevin Mulligan. Thanks for breaking the ice, Kevin, and there's something headed your way real soon. Anyway, we've got a lot to look at today, and so let's jump into it. Nev's GMAC of 3284 through 3286 is loaded with interesting items. This is one that both Runcie and Laszlo Shabaliks jumped on. Both of them are dedicated researchers, so I'm going to let them fight it out amongst themselves with no foreign objects allowed and staying within the ring at all times, and no biting or below the belt stuff. I'm just the 3D guy. Anyway, it's way off there, skylined against the ridge inside the yellow target. Looking at this area, it's easy to see that this might be a collection of debris from a collapsed structure. I like that round piece with the radial lines just left of center near the bottom. And then you have all those sheets and those two angular pieces right below the white box. But whatever that is, inside the target box is asking for a closer look because of that round part so nicely centered inside the rounded end. I have no idea what this might be, but I'm speculating. For those of you from Iowa, that just means a wild-ass guess. I'm speculating that this is a rather large and broken-up piece of technology. The top and bottom portions appear to have space between them, a slot, and there's a rectangular piece sticking out into the sunshine. Sarah is winning at the moment, but she's always played kind of rough. Nurul Iman Supardi is new on the anomaly scene, but it's already apparent that he has an eye for this stuff. I'm always glad to work with the various navcam images because they always come in stereo pairs, and that does make my job a whole lot easier. Inside the green target is something that looks like a bowl, maybe 2 or 3 feet across. Well, that sure looks like a busted up bowl to me. I suppose it could be some fancy erosion. There's apparently an awful lot of that on Mars, according to NASA, but it kind of reminds me of this next one I found a couple years back. Is this also some of that fancy erosion? Or is it actually a trough of some kind? Since we're considered to be fringe lunatics, we'll go with the trough thing for now. Just don't tell anybody. I had a ton of problems with the parallax on this one because the individual shots were taken too far apart. We usually assume that in a stereo image, the camera takes one shot for the pair. This apparently wasn't the case here, though, for whatever reason, and so here's the problem. In order to make the image work in 3D, the anomaly was completely cut off in the left image. That means the arrow isn't in 3D, and it might even bother your eyes a bit, but it was the only way to do it. On a technical point, I was unable to adjust the parallax for the proper window placement on any of these shots. Most people won't notice it unless you're seriously into 3D, and for many of my fellow 3D weirdos, it's considered an unpardonable sin to have the window set back like it is in these shots. But we're after the anomaly, right? Forget the stereo window. So we've got this cube with a tube on the side, a cylinder actually. This really does look like a mechanical device to me, but let's get a little closer as I play with the contrast a bit. What do you think? Rock or not rock? Drat those nav cams. A little bit more resolution here will go a long ways, and I half suspect that NASA grabs high-res images of anomalies on the QT. But this is as good as we poor peasants are going to get. My sharp-eyed friend out in Arizona, Raymond Glassford, sent me some mass cam shots from Curiosity 3365. In the interest of keeping things moving along, I've linked all the images down below, but we're just gonna concentrate on two of them for now. I've targeted some weirdness that both Raymond and myself dug out of these images. We're gonna start with the yellow target first. Yeah, it's kind of blurry. That's the nature of the beast most of the time. But come on, look at all the right angles and the overall shaping of whatever this is. Definitely not a rock. Let's move over to the green target now. This entire area is a debris field, folks. We've got the NASA trademark blurriness and obfuscation happening as always, but look at that big blue beauty in the center. All kinds of circles and squares and other structure going on. And there's lots of other suspicious stuff lying around too. Okay, let's focus on the red target next. Just looking at this, I get the impression that this is a fused, half-melted piece of machinery. I mean, look at the various markings and divots that cover this thing. You've heard me say this before, but if I was out in the desert and ran across this, you'd better believe I'd go over and give it a thorough examination. If you look at the context view, you can see that this is at least 2 to 3 feet across, a pretty good chunk, however you slice it. Now onto the purple target box near the top. This is one that I find surprising. Let your eyes wander around a bit and take in all this debris. How about this one? There's some strange stuff going on here. That bottom arrow is pointing at what seems to be a pipe fitting coming out of the main body, then making a right angle turn and going into the ground. And did you notice what the middle arrow is pointing at? That could be tiny spheres arranged down in the corner, or possibly a cooling grate of some kind. And please tell me you saw the triangle cut out, the top arrows pointing at. But now look over here. Talk about manufactured parts just lying around. I like that biting mouthful of teeth in the center. It's kind of like a zipper halfway zipped. This entire area is just littered with suspicious material. Those of you who take the time to click on the context view link down below will find plenty more that I didn't even mention. Let's move on to the next one from 3365. I've marked 3 things in this one I wanted to share with you. Down in the left-hand corner, inside that blue box, right in the center with the yellow target, and good old NASA doing their thing again, putting anomalies right on the very edge of a shot, the one pointed out by the yellow arrow. We'll start in the center with the yellow target. This is a stone that's been cut and dressed. Besides the very obvious right angles, you've got that top surface that's nice and flat, a recessed area in front, and that nice rim going around the side closest to us. And if you didn't already notice, look around and you'll see all kinds of shaped blocks lying around. Now onto the one in the lower left corner. What do you suppose this is? For those of you viewing this as a flat image, it won't look like much, but that all changes when you're viewing it in X3D, doesn't it? This looks like a corroded, crushed, and very complex piece of machinery to me. Maybe kind of like the inner guts of a jet engine. But this one is just a poor cousin to the one in the upper left corner. This is a big old chunk of amazing to me. First of all, what in the world would cause this kind of erosion in a rock? And what kind of rock would give this kind of appearance? You can see for yourself all the wires and components mashed together. It looks like the remains of a Borg cube, but forget science fiction. This entire boulder is absolutely fuzzy with wires and components sticking out, plus one very important distinction. This is real. It's not science fiction, and trolls can claim that we have fevered imaginations, but there's very little left to the imagination here. My thanks again to Raymond Glassford for passing these along to me. Just as we went to rendering, we got another new member, Mike Nelson. Welcome aboard, Mike, and thank you for your support. And starting next week, all members will appear in the credit roll at the end, with additional thanks for your support. Remember, everything is linked below. If you want to get in touch with me, you want your signed copy of Martian Archaeology, or you can click the join button and you can see the different levels of membership and help support this work so that we don't have to run ads and keep your viewing experience pristine. In any case, if you saw something you liked, please hit a thumbs up. That's the coin of the realm. And for all you proud weirdos out there, you know who you are. Stay safe and stay weird. This is your buddy Dave over at Mars X3D. Be well.